Hello and welcome back to another First Impressions video brought to you by MMO Play. Today we're taking a look at an upcoming turn-based strategy game from Cyanide Studios, makers of the Blood Bowl PC version and Aarklash Legacy, among other games. It's called Dogs of War. This is a free-to-play game. Was recently on Steam's beta weekend. You can go check out and see if it's still available. So let's see the gameplay. It is a turn-based strategy game, and it's set in an RPG fantasy world. Feels a little bit like Aarklash, but maybe not quite as fast-paced as Aarklash. Also, it's going to be a lot more player versus player, and since it's not a pay-to-play or buy-to-play game, there is microtransactions. One thing is, you can see right here, the tutorial does explain quite a bit of content, and it is kind of slow-paced, but at least you'll get the basics for how the game works. I'm not going to go through the tutorial right now, because let's just see a full-on gameplay set. This is the very end of the tutorial. At the end of the mission, you do get just free reign to go and do a battle. Everyone gets a certain number of rounds, and things you can do is you can select a guy, you can move, you can attack. Depending on the stance he's in, the stances are towards the top middle, a little bit towards the left. He might be in defensive stance, get increased defense, which you get a counter attack when you're attacked, so in other words, you're hitting back harder than you're getting hit. You can be an offensive stance, you can attack twice. You also will have abilities towards the bottom middle. So I could do things like I could make it so they'll automatically miss their next attack. Every time they miss an attack, they get minus stats. That's one of my characters who can do that. Others can increase their chance to fear. I can attack, I can move away. If you move away from combat, you will get an attack of opportunity on you. So keep that in mind, you can get hit. Also, there is cover to deal with ranged, similar to games like XCOM Enemy Unknown. Other than that, it's basically a fairly traditional hex-based, turn-based strategy game. The progression system we'll look at just a couple of turns. Going to go through a little bit of combat here. And at the end of a set number of turns, a round ends. And at the end of the round, everyone gets to regen a little bit. So right now I'm going to move and change to defensive stance. Try to keep him alive a little longer. That, and you notice I just plugged up a choke too. Figured my little basic infantry unit's going to die to those two guys. After you kill a unit, you do get a little bit of moving forward you can do. You can go and move a little ahead, and if you can get in range, you can swing again. So kind of like sweeping advance for any Warhammer 40k fans. If you can move into combat in a straight line, too, you can get a charge attack, which will let you move into combat, do a hit, potentially do a knockback. Another thing you're seeing is there's terrain that can be a little harder to move through, so sometimes it'll try to move me around a terrain. The green is, if you move into the green areas, you can move and still act. If you move into the orange areas, it's a sprint. It counts as both actions. You cannot act and then move, so very similar to games like XCOM. This guy right here has a special ability that lets him do extra damage, but at the cost of attack chance, so he might hit harder but less often. I think I'm actually going to sprint into a better position. I'm not really setting myself up nicely to be able to get surrounded nicely. That Sphinx is in a real good spot right there. If I move out of combat, though, she gets a free hit at me. Your units can and will get injured and die. If they die, you might need a little bit of help. There are fate cards which will let you bring them back, but you only get just so many of them, and then beyond that you have to buy them for in-game or premium currency. Let's go and look at the progression system outside of the game itself, though. After your contest is over, you can go to the victory screen, you get some gold. See, I got a fate card. These are the different tutorial missions, so you can do them to learn the basics, get some starter gold, all that. And there's going into another mission. Alright, now for the UI itself. See, there's a ranking system for to deal with, compare yourself to other players. There are different characters you can purchase with both free-to-play and pay-to-play currency. You can see their talents, the general information about them. These are all the guys that I currently have in my group. You can see you can unlock more squad slots eventually. In addition to that, there are missions. These are quests that you send your individual people on. We'll look at that in just a second. If someone dies, you need those fate cards. And then last, the store. Here's where you can buy more heroes. Eventually, you can buy consumable items. You can also buy items for your heroes. That's later in the line. This game is not fully released quite yet. This was a stress test beta weekend. Here's some items you can buy. Extra slots, reses, all that kind of stuff. Different characters. And then the missions are a way of getting some other bonuses when you're not in the middle of a match. So you send one of your guys, and each one will have a different effect. Generally, the more expensive guys do better in these missions. So you can see this guy. That one's 18%. That one's 10%. I'll send him. Any pickpocket or archer. Sound a little roguish to me. Actually, pickpocket. I'm gonna send him. And it'll take a little time. They'll come back and give me a reward. That's a look at the basics for the game. It's like, check it out. It's called Dogs of War. It's going to be available on Steam. The content. Stay tuned to more for MMO Play. Thanks for watching.